Where are you now when darkness seems to win? Where are you now when the world is crumbling? Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, where are you now when all I feel is doubt? Oh, where are you now when I can't figure it out? Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up. You're not threatened by the war. You're not shaken by the storm. I know you're in control. Even in our suffering, even when it can't be seen, I know you're in control. Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Oh, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Look up, child. Hey, look up, child. I hear you calling my name. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, look up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 19-8 session.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that
Celebrate
say
all of
I'm
you that have
not
already signed
enough.
I see Stephanie Kashosi from Nairobi.
Every single
I
lie
see
that tells
Mr.
me
Ivan
I
from
will
Kampala,
never
Agnes,
measure
Nairobi,
up.
Bola from UK. I see a Berry from Lagos,
Am I more
Olumide
than
from
just the
Lagos,
sum of
Peter
every high and
from
every
Nairobi,
low?
Nkechi from Lagos, Kelsey from Nairobi, Aderunke from
Remind me
Lagos.
once again just who I am.
I see
because
Adaobi
I
from
need
Lagos,
to know.
Daisy from Nairobi,
Ooh, oh,
Pastor Olumide.
you say
Be
I'm
sent to
loved
us.
when
Get
I can't feel a thing.
all of your pastors
You say I'm
and
strong
let them get all their
when
people.
I think I'm weak, and you say
I see
I'm
Bolanle from Lagos,
when I am falling
Ochi
short,
and Naomi from
and
Lagos,
when I
Gucci from
don't
Lagos,
belong. Oh, you
Uche, I
say
see
I'm
you from the United
yours,
Kingdom.
and I
Uche,
believe.
I
Oh, I believe
reach out to me after this meeting.
what you say of me.
Lina, I see you from Nairobi. Eric, I see you from Uganda.
That matters now is everything you
Arinze
think of me.
from Canada, I see you.
In you I find my worth. In you I
from
when I
Lagos.
don't
You're
belong.
welcome.
Oh, you say I am yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of
Charles
me.
from Lagos. Onyinye from
I
Lagos.
believe.
Where are my Kenyan people? And
Taking all I have and now
Harriet
I'm
from Kenya, I
laying
see
it
you.
at your feet.
Mr. Ivan, reach out to Tito. Joyce.
You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You
Darlene
say
from Kenya, I see you.
when I am falling short, when I don't belong.
Tola, there are many people I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing Dave. I'm not seeing several people. Elizabeth from Lagos, Jane from Lagos, I see you. Rita from Uganda, I see you. Ayokunle from Lagos, I see you.
What you say of me, I believe.
All right. We're going to go straight into the teaching today. And as is our custom, we're going to pray because we believe that God helps us to receive information and revelation in such a way that we are able to apply them. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask for revelation knowledge to dawn upon our hearts. I ask for words and thoughts from heaven to flow freely through me to your people. And these words and thoughts, let them speak to us beyond this moment. And help us to apply the things we are learning so that we can receive results. It's in Jesus' name we pray. All right. Once again, as you listen, comment, respond. Let us know that you are on the other end of this and that you are participating and that you are engaged and engaging with the content. We have been talking about leadership. We have been talking about leadership. And yesterday, this particular series of this particular masterclass is about multiplying your effectiveness. Multiplying your effectiveness. And we said that we're talking about leadership because your leadership ability is the lead on your effectiveness. It's John Maxwell's first law of leadership, but it's not just a John Maxwell principle. It is a proven and observable principle. So if you want to increase your level of effectiveness, then you need to increase your leadership ability. Yesterday we mentioned that everyone has to lead at some point. Leadership is not optional. As long as you exist on this planet, you will have to lead somehow. And your effectiveness will be affected by the level of your leadership. Parents will have to lead their kids. Those seeking promotion are simply asking to be allowed to lead a people. husbands will have to lead their wives. Together they will have to lead the children. We defined leadership, gave several definitions, and settled on Jesus' definition of leadership. And we said it's because of all the leaders, he stands out. He started a movement with 12 men, 120 in all, in an upper room somewhere, trained them for 3 years, some of them for 1 year, some of them for 2 years, but in all, total, the longest of them got trained for 3 years. He had multitudes gather to hear him. And those multitudes that gathered, he wasn't moved by that. He was focused on his assignment. And so out of them, he found a 120 that he led. Today, billions of people, 2,000 years later, what he started is still existing. It has been fought against. Nations have resisted it. Kingdoms have tried to snuff it out and kill it. Yet it has survived and continues to thrive, and billions of people have become followers of this individual. He knows something about leadership. And so his definition is what we are going with, even though we recognize that all the other definitions are also true. They all speak of leadership. But his approach to leadership is that of servant leadership. And one of the reasons why I love his approach is that it makes leadership open to everyone, because everyone can serve. If I say to all of us listening to me right now that I want you to go and serve somebody, you hardly hear anybody saying, oh, serving people or serving someone else is too complicated for me. Most people never think of themselves as too low to serve, too uneducated to serve, too unimportant to serve. They might consider themselves too big to serve. But there's nobody who ever says, I don't have a lot of competence, so I cannot serve. And Jesus' approach to leadership is that leadership is service. And so anyone that can serve can lead. Anyone that can make others the focus instead of themselves can lead. That's why you see a woman who is naturally shy, naturally unable to raise her voice and talk with authority because she's an introvert and she's shy. Some of you listening to me are in that category. Yet, when it comes to her children, all of that disappears. The shyness is gone. When it comes to her family, the shyness is gone. Her husband, her kids, the shyness is gone. She's bold, she's authoritative. Why? Because when it comes to her children and her husband, she's trying to serve them. She's looking out for their interests. It's all about them. She has forgotten about herself. Whereas when she was talking, when you asked her to speak to a group of people, she was focused on herself. How she looked, how they are perceiving her, how they are looking at her, what they are thinking about her. Is her hair in place? Is her makeup in place? Is her body exposed? Is she talking rubbish? Is she speaking right? Is she talking the right way? Is she not talking the right way? Her mind is on herself, and her perception of her assumption about people's perception of her. And all of a sudden, because at that moment she's not leading, at that moment she's not serving, she's not trying to see how to help these people that she's supposed to speak to, how to help them become better. It's not about them. She's not focused on them. She's focused on herself. All of a sudden she's shy. All of a sudden, she's unable to speak. All of a sudden, she's timid. It happens to men. I just used a woman as an example. It happens to men, happens to women. So Jesus' definition becomes very interesting because it says everyone can lead. Everyone can lead. And they can lead because everyone can serve. So Jesus' definition is found in Matthew 20, 25 to 28. But Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. He gave them a different approach to leadership. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many. A true leader, let's say you lead a group of people, and that group has been tasked with an objective. They've been told to achieve a particular objective. Real leadership means that you are not in charge. Allow me to say this. We will balance it as we go on. You are not in charge of the task. A true leader, coming from Jesus' perspective, will let the people take charge. The people is leading. Take charge of the task. And he, watch my words, takes care of the people. Somebody type that in. Let the people you lead take charge of the task. And you take care of the people. Real servant leadership says, I will take care of these people. I will serve them as they take care or take charge of the task at hand. Now, I will guide them. I will direct them. But I will commit to them the task so that I can focus on them and take care of them. A real leader is like you will find in a coach. A coach will not play the ball. He will give directives for the play. He will tell them how the play will go. But he steps back. The people, the players, take charge of delivering that objective. We want to score 3 goals. We want to beat these people. We are playing at home. We have to win. The players take charge. What does the coach do? He takes care of the players. That's an example of servant leadership. He takes care of the players. That is Jesus' approach to leadership. And his results as a leader makes us insist that we must go with his approach. So, yesterday we also identified several areas of leadership, several areas you must develop yourself in leading, several spaces in which you will have to lead. We said no, the first space that you will have to lead in is leading yourself. The second space is leading others. And the third space is leading an organization. And we said by leading an organization, we do not mean that you are necessarily the one in charge of the organization. Someone may say, well, I work in Zenith Bank, but I'm not the MD of Zenith Bank. So I do not need to learn how to lead an organization. So we defined what we meant by leading an organization. Once you are leading a people that you do not have direct contact with, you are leading an organization. Now you have to develop systems for ensuring objectives are met and people are motivated and they know what to do and all of that, even though you do not have a direct contact with all of them. If you lead 90,000 people, I guarantee you only know about 12, 15 of them, or 100 of them at the most, 100 to 120 that you interact with. And so somehow you have to develop systems that allow your interaction with the 120 to influence the remaining 89,880 people. All right? If you have 90,000 people in your employed by you. But in every setting, once you're a leader of leaders, once you have leaders that now report to you, there has to be a little adjustment to your leadership style and strategy. And we're going to talk about that. We also talked about the components of leadership. If you break down leadership, what does it really entail? Whether it is leading yourself, leading others, or leading an organization at the fundamental level, what does leadership really entail? It entails motivating people. It entails navigating, figuring out how to get to where you are supposed to get to, how to achieve the goal. And it entails transforming the people that you lead and yourself, of course. Motivating, navigating, and transforming the people that you lead. And we talked about these things. Today, I said we were going to begin to look at leading yourself, but I have made a little adjustment. We are going to look at those components of leadership and understand them today. Those fundamental components of leadership, what leadership really entails. We're going to be looking at them today, and then tomorrow we now begin to apply them. So you begin to look at how to motivate, navigate, transform yourself. Motivate, navigate, transform others. Motivate, navigate, transform an organization. And so we're going to look at those three things Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Those three. So we'll apply Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but we will look at what leadership, that fundamental look at leadership and what it entails. So we said leadership is basically motivating people. If you think about it, it's not complicated, right? It's not complicated. We actually came up with an acronym. Some time ago, I was teaching this to a group of people, and they came up with an acronym. They made me observe that those three components of leadership actually form the acronym MTN. MTN. Motivating, transforming, and navigating. Motivation, transformation, and navigation. MTN. So it's an easy way to remember. So whenever you are feeling so pressured and you're feeling so scared about taking up a leadership role, just break it down to MTN. Say, all I have to do is serve these people. How do I need to serve them? I need to motivate them. I need to transform them or see to their transformation. And I need to navigate this group and help us find a way to win and to achieve the goal. And so, of these three things, motivation is very cardinal to the idea of leadership. Because if you can get the people motivated, they will be motivated enough to do what they need to do to be transformed. So transformation will happen. They will be motivated enough to do what they need to do and figure out a way to get the job done. So navigation will be happening. So motivation is at the core of leadership. Motivation is at the core. Somebody type that in. Motivation is at the core of leadership. Every other thing is now the direction of your motivation. So if you want to see them transformed, you are motivating them to read books, motivating them to go for courses, motivating them to put some things to practice, motivating them to do certain things. But it's still motivation. if you can motivate your people and get them all stirred up, you can gather them together and they will figure out how to get to where they're going. They will figure out how to get there. Brainstorming and all of those things we learned in business administration, the different ways you come up with decisions and options and alternatives for decision making. If your people are motivated, they will come up with those things. And so motivation is at the core of leadership. And so let's look at that subject of motivation and look at how to bring about motivation. How to bring about motivation. People are motivated to follow you in proportion to your level of influence. Let me say something before this. Let's rewind, okay? Even in leading yourself, still on the fact that motivation is at the core of leadership. Even in leading yourself, motivation is at the core of your leadership of yourself. The greatest struggle you will have is not in figuring out a way. Most of you already know that. Because there are certain things you do that you will find the way, right? But doing them is the issue. If you will commit to read a book a week or a book a month for the next 4 years on an issue, or for the next 1 year on an issue, let's say on finances or on business, or if you commit, for instance, to read textbooks that, okay, maybe you didn't do business, but get all the textbooks for business administration that, and all, get a friend who did business administration or masters. This is just an example. And you commit that you will read all of those texts within the next 18 months. You will cover them. Believe me, you will, those materials and resources, you will encounter certain information and knowledge that will help you navigate the difficulties you face in business. But the problem is not that. The problem is motivating yourself enough to do that. The same thing, and that reading those materials will bring about your transformation. You will be transformed. So transformation and navigation, even when you know what to do to be transformed personally, even when you know what to do to find a way, the issue is always around motivation. That's why it's still at the core of leadership, even when it comes to leading yourself. Now, when it comes to leading an organization, then certain other factors come into play beyond motivation. Navigation, figuring out a way for systems to run, becomes almost at the same level as motivation. But we will talk about that later when we get to leading an organization. All right. So let's talk about motivation then. So people are motivated to follow you in proportion to your level of influence. The impact of your voice is determined by your influence. I want you to do something for me. I want you to go on the chat, if you can, the chat section, and I want you to type, just take 10 seconds, look at your life, and just do like an overview, quick overview. You're allowed to make mistakes in this. There's no perfect answer. And mention 2 people who are the most influential in your life as it is today. The 2 most influential people in your life currently, not 2 that have influenced your life before, but 2 people who, if they called you and said, no, you have to do this, you probably will have to do it. You know those people you say, if not for you, if not for you, I wouldn't do this thing. If not that you are the one who is saying I should do this. Who mention two people who are in that category with you. You know, when it comes to leadership, yeah, go ahead, keep typing. I'm seeing what you're typing. When it comes to leadership, all right. Apologies for those who are not on the chat. I'm having some time engaging with what people are typing. All right. You know, this is a coaching session, so I'm treating this like a coaching session. So it's not just that I say things. I am also interacting with what you guys are saying. So, okay. So there are people in your life. You see, when you allow yourself to think of leadership, it's influence, right? So think of who has influenced you. And then realize that the people you are leading are simply looking for the same thing, for you to be the same thing to them. One of the fastest ways to develop your leadership or to begin to think of leadership is to imagine people who have influenced you and realize that all that this is simply for you to be that person to others, to the people who now who are following you now, who you are serving as a leader. I was talking to one of my proteges today, a few days ago, and I said to him, I said, when I came to Nairobi to plant a church, you were there. You saw how I related with you and what I was to you. There were a few of them, about 12 of them or so, that I gathered together, and together we planted the church. And I said, you saw what I was to you and how I related with you, how you came to my home and all of those things. I said, all you are required to do now is to be that to someone else, to be that to other people. And you could see that this person's eyes just popped open. This person all of a sudden understood what we're talking about, because now he has an experience that we are asking him to duplicate. It's a powerful principle. Now he has an experience that we are asking him to duplicate. So these people you are mentioning right now, what they have in your life is called influence. They are able to make you do things that you didn't want to do without coercing you, just because of who they are to you. They are able to make you say things you didn't want to say because of who they are to you. They didn't put a gun to your head. They are not manipulating you. You still can say no to them. There may be certain things they will ask you to do, you will say no. But because of their level of influence, they are able to motivate you more than others. Beyond every theory I could give you today, if I can get you to identify why those people have such level of influence in your life, if you can identify why, then you are beginning to understand what you need to begin to do in order to have that same level of influence over others. So I'm going to ask you to do something again now. I'm going to ask you to type in your own idea of why those people have that kind of influence over you. Is it positional? Because she's my mom, Not because of what she did. She's my mom and I have to obey her. All right? Or is it did they achieve some level of influence beyond position because of some things they did? I want you to go ahead and type in. And that one I'm going to read out. So type in, I'm not going to call your name, but I'm going to read it out so that those who are not able to access the chat section can see some of the key points people are raising. So go ahead quickly. Type in what those people, just an overview, what those people did. Someone said life achievements. So those people, watch this, those people achieved some things, I'm assuming, that inspired you and you want to be like them, so you followed them. And so if they told you turn left, you turned left. They say turn right, you turn right. Somebody wrote life achievement. Very powerful. Because it's one of the laws of motivation. One of the rules of motivation is that it's called the law of respect. And it says people naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves. If you achieve things that others are trying to achieve, it's easier to lead them. So if Arnold Schwarzenegger, let me pick somebody else who is a very good actor. Let's say, forget Terry. What's this guy's name? Terry. This Christian actor. Who will help me with the name of this Christian actor that plays a woman sometimes and a man sometimes? Tyler Perry, yeah, Tyler Perry. So Tyler Perry, a renowned actor, she plays a woman in one movie and you will hardly believe she's a man. And she plays a gentleman in another movie, you will never believe she's the same person that played, he's the same person. See, I'm calling him a she. He's the same person that played a woman. He has achieved great things in that field. If he was somehow assigned, you are in a group, and that group is about acting, it's an acting group, and you find out that he was the leader, you will even want to sign up for his own group. And if he says, let's meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, in fact, I meet people at 6 in the morning. That's when I meet people, 6 in the morning. Or he tells you meet at 6:13. I had a mentor who I went to see one time, and he gives appointment by saying, meet me at 6:13 or meet me at 8:05 or 8:06. And everybody he gives appointment, they are there, 30 minutes before or 1 hour before, and at 8:06 they walk into his presence. Many of us can't even get our people to meet us an hour after the meeting has started or supposed to have started. And so, like I said, we are learning, we are growing in our leadership. But because of the achievements of this person, you find that people are willing to follow. They feel privileged to learn from them. So let's look at some other things people wrote. Someone says, because of the impact they have made in my life. That's another key principle. It's called the law of connection. So if I've talked about the law of respect. People follow people who are stronger than themselves. Pastors will follow a pastor who they think is stronger than them. And when they think they are stronger than you, they move on. Students will follow a teacher that they think know more than them. People will allow you to influence them if they think that you have or have achieved something they want to achieve. The law of respect. People follow people stronger than themselves. So that's one of the reasons why you must lead yourself. because you must transform. You must become stronger. Forget about whether you are quiet or noisy or loud or talkative. Achievement is a major key to leadership. A very quiet woman who leads, who has achieved some level of wealth, is called in to come talk to people about their finances. Everybody packs that place out. They come in, they want to hear her. Even though she's soft-spoken, and she just comes in and says, my people, I don't even know what to talk to you guys, but if you want to get money, here are some things you need to do. People are taking notes. Yet she's a soft-spoken person, but her achievement is speaking louder than her voice. I pray for you that God will help you achieve greatness in different areas of life. But look at this other one, the law of connection. Somebody says, because of the impact that they made in my life. The law of connection says, touch a heart before you ask for a hand. The law of connection says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. These are all principles of the law of connection. In other words, seek to make a difference in the lives of those people. So if you get into a space, for instance, and you are asked to lead a group of people, one of the first things to begin to do, not the only thing to do, but one of the first things is to begin to connect with those people. Don't start by giving them instructions. 10 things to do, 5 things to do. We need to achieve, except there is a deadline that will ruin your group if it's not met. One of the first things to do is connect with them. What's going on in their lives? Who is it? It still brings us back to that Jesus' definition of leadership. Servant leadership. I want to serve this person. So I need to know who his wife is. Who are his kids? What's going on in his family? What's affecting him? What's influencing him? What is harassing him? And then if you can find a challenge or a problem in their lives and fix it, or work with them to fix it, that's what that person is calling impact. You make an impact in their lives, and they are automatically feeling like reciprocating that by making a difference for you, and that feeling can be directed towards what you want them to do. It's the reason why some companies pay ridiculous amounts of money to certain people, certain employees that they do not want to lose. They make them so comfortable, they make them feel so so treasured. It's impact. So even the pay, because really and truly, how much do you need to run yourself? If they are flying you from Africa to Europe, you don't need to fly first class, but they pay first class. Why? Impact. As little as that may seem, but it makes you feel somehow, feel treasured, feel valued, and then you want to give your best. All right, so somebody said impact. So that's the law of connection. Someone says heavy impact on my life, still about impact. Clear experiential success paths. They have not only achieved successfully what I hope to achieve and in line with my faith. All right, so we've talked about that. She listens to me and guides me. That's impact. My spiritual dad corrects me, prays for me, and most importantly, help me find myself in my career. That's impact. Watch all of that. You see, those two things, they keep showing up. Imparted knowledge to me and have a lot of experience in areas I would like to master. This is bringing those two things as well. Imparting of knowledge, impact, has a lot of experience, achievement, his own achievement. Impact in my life and guidance. The way a leader is as a husband, also determined to learn and improve in career. Okay, I didn't get that, but you still see that impact. I believe they have the best interest in my life. So they've done some things that make you feel they care about you. All right. Brought me closer to God, knowing him as Father. life achievements and goal orientation, guided me out of dark paths. You see, it's all about what they did for them, impact, and what they achieved in their own lives. And while there are other deeper principles and laws of motivation, if you would master these two, particularly the law of connection, because it takes a while for you to have your achievements. So you are leading a group, a team leader in your place of work. You can't say, oh, well, I'm going to really lead this team and motivate them after I have achieved MD level. Until you lead that group, you can't get to MD. All right? You can achieve a lot of stuff till you lead that group. And so, but the law of connection is an immediate thing you can begin to do. I used to have a pastor that was very task-oriented. When I give him an assignment to do some things as his own pastor, he will get it done. He was very effective, very efficient. He will get things done. He will get things moving. He hardly ever failed to deliver. But he always had issues with his people, and he tended to walk alone. So every time you see him, he's stressed out. He has a team, but then at the end of the day, he is the one who is doing the thing, who is chasing the task. Instead of the people under him taking charge of the task and him taking care of the people, he ends up taking charge of the task because the people themselves are not willing to serve him and to support him and to help him because they don't feel supported by him. So I called him and I said, I like the fact that you get things done, but there's a limit to how much I can give you to do because you can't do everything by yourself. You need help. And you need to get your team to work with you. And he said, oh, they don't, I've spoken to this person. He doesn't want to work. He's always very lazy. So he gave me an example of each of them, why they, what was wrong with each of them. Now, let me give you a very simple principle. It's a coaching principle. If one player is wrong in a football team, if one player is bad, you change the player. But if all the players are bad, you change the coach. Somebody type what I just said now. If one player is bad, you change the player in a football team. But if all the players are messing up, you change the coach. So for you to have a team and there's something wrong with all of them, you are the problem. You are the problem. If you reached out to, 200 people, this applies in everything. You got 200, you reach out to 200 people and then they said, okay, now bring them to church and not one. It's not about the 200 people. You need to adjust something. It doesn't mean you are wrong. It doesn't mean you are evil or there's something wrong with you. You just need to look at yourself and say, okay, what do I need to adjust? What do I need to change? If 20 out of 20 give you excuses why they will not follow you, 20 out of 20, you need to change something. So I told him, I said, if all of them have problems and all of them are messing up, you need to change something. And so I said, I know what you need to do. I said, you need to connect with them. So I told him to go get all their birthdays. Get their birthdays, each of them. He didn't know their birthdays. So he went and got their birthdays, made it into a list. I asked him to submit it to me. He did it grudgingly. Then I said, I want you to find one problem they are all going through at the moment. One problem they are all going through at the moment. One by one. Find out what this person is going through. If Jesus, this is how I normally try to find out people's problems. I said, find out from them if Jesus showed up now and said, what can I solve for you now? Find out what they will tell Jesus. And so he did that. So he did a list, names of the people, birthdays, and problems that they had. I said, now, for the next 1 month, forget about the tasks for a while. You continue to do the tasks like you are doing them so that the church will not have problems. Continue to deliver on those tasks, but for the next 1 month, engage with these problems. Don't talk to them about any other thing. Engage with these problems that they have. The ones that are struggling with school fees, doesn't mean you paid for the school fees, but be about it. Act like it's your problem. They don't have the money to pay. You don't have the money to pay. Act like it's your problem, and you don't have money to pay for school fees. What will you do? He said, I will start talking to people. We'll start talking to people about them. See, it's not that you can solve all their problems, but you need to engage with those problems. And so he began to do that for that 1 month period. By the end of that 1 month, the same people, and he is the same person, all of a sudden, there was a connection. And they wanted to serve him. They wanted to get things done for him. And that whole situation changed because of an adjustment he had to make. The law of connection. The heart does not forget the prints of the hand that has touched it. God told me this many years ago. Now, I know that there are some people I invited on this call that I met here in Uganda that are not necessarily church people. And so you might hear me talk about God and how God spoke to me. Well, I am a pastor. And so, God told me this many years ago. The heart does not forget the prints of the hand that has touched it. All right. So people have asked me, how do you motivate people? One key way is the law of connection. Then also, what have you achieved already? Talk about it. Talk about it. Not in a boastful, prideful way, but talk about it with them. Let them know. Don't hide those things. People do a lot of crazy stuff because they misquote scriptures. They say, whatever your right hand does, let your left hand not know. Whatever your left hand. So they think it's humility to not talk about their achievements. I have someone who had planted 12 churches, one church every month for a whole year. And when I wanted her to teach some other people and instruct them on what she did, I flaunted her achievements. And people listened to her because of her achievements. Jesus was not saying that you should not talk about your good works. In fact, the Bible says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. He's never saying he never said you should not let men see your good works. He was simply saying that you should not make people seeing your good works your purpose. So when you are praying, don't let it be because you want people to see you pray. When you are giving, don't let it be because you want people to see you give. No. But there's nothing wrong with people knowing that you're a giver. If you're a pastor, your people must know that you give. Because you can't be telling them to give and they don't know that you also give. And you're hiding that. And you give more than all of them there. As far as they are concerned, as they are giving, you are eating the money. Whereas what they don't know is that you are the greatest giver in that church. They need to know that. You are not giving for them to know that. You are giving because you want to prosper. But that's your giving. They need to know. All right? Because if Jesus meant that we should not let anybody know what we have done, then there should never be corporate prayer. We should never pray together in church. Because when you are praying in church, I see you praying. No. The question is, why are you praying in church? Are you praying so that I can see you? If you're praying so that I can see you, then you are wrong. But if you're praying because you are in church and you want to pray, and I happen to see you, that does not matter. That's not against the word of God. So let them know your achievements. There are other principles that I will just quickly mention. Lining up these are more advanced things. When people's goals and aspirations, personal goals, or what they call purpose, when people's purpose is aligned with what you're asking them to do, there's a natural motivation that comes. For instance, I am called to help people become. One of my greatest joys is to hear somebody tell me, I was here and now I'm here because of you. It does something to me. I used to be like this, now I am like this. I used to be here and now I am here. And I've gone to crazy lengths to connect with people I didn't know before, just so that I can be able to make such a difference. There are people on this call now that I met in crazy places, just because I want to be able to say, you were here, and maybe something I said, something I shared, a wisdom I shared with you, now got you to this other place. If anyone brings me into a group or a team that is aimed at doing something like that, I will be motivated. Super motivated to work. Another principle of motivation is feedback. People working under you need to have feedback. They need to know how well they are doing, and they need to hear particularly the positive feedbacks frequently. As pastors, we teach and preach. As a pastor, I teach and preach. And there are people who walk up to me and say, Pastor Noel, thank you for that message. Yesterday, we talked about leadership. And there were a few people who got back to me and they said, particularly a particular lady in particular that I have been mentoring and trying to get into some state levels and stuff. And she's extremely introverted. Extremely introverted. One of the worst cases of introversion that I have seen, if you can call it worst. Or let me say one of the strongest cases of introversion. Cannot talk to 5-10 people together in one place. No, she can't. And she said, I've never been impacted like that before. All of a sudden I can see myself leading. And boy, I'm here again, I'm teaching again. And I'm going to do this again and again and again and again. I'm motivated. Feedback, positive feedback particularly. Frequent feedback, positive feedback. All right, give feedback to the people you lead. And you're taking care of them. Remember, let them take charge of the task. You take care of them. Servant leadership. And now you focus on them. And constantly, taking care of them, constantly give them feedback. Have, one-on-ones. We call it relational rhythms. These are things you need to remember. Relational rhythms. A rhythm, of meeting. Say, okay, we meet every Thursday, or we meet once every month, first Thursday of the month. We have lunch, and then you give him feedback. You did this here, you did this there, you did this there. Even parents over children. One of the greatest problems with African parent leadership style is that they never give positive feedback, they give negative feedback. The moment you do something wrong, most of us here, even those who are still children now with their parents, both on this call, know that place where who moved this thing from there? Who put this cup on the table? Why didn't you wash the plates? And all day, that goes on all day. But then it was one cup that was placed wrongly, right? But the room is clean. The house has been swept. You need to acknowledge that. You need to say, oh, this room is swept and it's clean. That's great. Who cleaned this place? Oh, you did well. Well done. That child needs some positive reinforcement, positive feedback. All right? They also need sincere feedback. So where they are messing up, you give some time, then you call them and you say, well, you did this well, you did this well, but here you need to make some improvement. And then you end again with some other things they did well. It's called the sandwich principle. As I'm saying this, someone type in the sandwich principle. Some of you have heard it before, some of you have never heard it before, but Type in sandwich principle. All right. You start with a positive feedback, then give the area they need to improve, and then you end with another positive feedback. So positive, just like sandwich, like your normal sandwich. If I give you tomatoes and all of those things you put in between sandwich, they are yucky. You may not enjoy them. But put them in between two slices of bread. Bread, those yucky stuff, then bread again. It becomes something you would like to eat. So whenever you are giving people what may not be palatable, put it in between two positive feedbacks. All right, positive feedback, slam them with what needs to be adjusted, another positive feedback. And believe me, someone said one time, even a broken clock is correct at least twice a day. So there's always a positive feedback to give. All right. Okay, we're going to stop there. Did you learn something? I focused on motivation because, like I said, if you understand motivation, transformation, and navigation will be easier. And in the course of our discussions over the week, we're going to just mention some things that will help you navigate better, some things that will help you transform your people. But you're learning how to motivate yourself, motivate others, is going to go a long way. So tomorrow, we're now going to focus on yourself. And we're going to still focus on motivation. How do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep yourself going? As a leader, you must be able to motivate yourself. The day after, we're going to look at leading others. And then the last day of this seminar, we're going to look at leading an organization, leading leaders. All right. I celebrate all of you. We have spent an hour already, and we will continue tomorrow. Till then, remember, you are loved by God, and that love is unconditional. Have a wonderful and fantastic night rest in Jesus' name. Amen.